Welcome, everyone. I'm Melissa Francis.
Hi there. I'm Lori Rothman. So the cyber threat, new warnings from Homeland Security and the FBI. Mideast hackers with ties to the group Anonymous also planning a major assault targeting the government, business, and your money. Red Tiger Security founder Jonathan Pollet on what can be done to stop it.
The Pentagon points the finger at China for cyber spying, from outsourcing this space to commodities. Lou Dobbs has been worried about China, so are these latest accusations any surprise to him?
And digging deeper into debt, the growing concern over the student debt bubble that's ballooned to nearly $1 trillion.
And what's in a name? A lot, according to a new survey, what your first name can spell for your paycheck. Time for Stocks Now, as we do every 15 minutes. Let's head to the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Nicole Petalides is standing by. Nicole, the Dow near the highs of the day.
It really is just a couple of points off those highs. 15,036 was our high of the day, so you can see we're just a couple of points away. As I noted, we're up about 0.5% on the Dow Jones Industrials. You can see the Nasdaq has moved back into the green. It had been lower for a majority of the day. The S&P 500 sitting at 1624 at the moment, so that too is a gain of about 0.5%. And a majority of names are in the green. Retail stocks, drug stocks, bank stocks continue to have up arrows. I want to take a look here at some of the names that are the best performers in percentage terms on the Dow Jones Industrials today, and there are several names that are up more than 1%, but here's a look at both Caterpillar and JP Morgan really pushing the 2% mark, getting closer to those levels. United Health also a winner, up about 1%, and DuPont with an up arrow. But as I noted, 3/4 of the names on the S&P have up arrows, with the exception of here are some names in tech that are getting beaten down, and that is Cisco and Microsoft, both dropping more than 1% each. Back to you.
Nicole, thanks so much.
The U.S. under cyber attack yet again. Government and financial websites at risk today as anonymous-linked hackers in the Middle East and North Africa threaten to strike. This comes after the Pentagon issued its sharpest criticism yet of the Chinese role in cyber espionage and hacking. Joining me now with the latest is Jonathan Pollet, founder of Red Tiger Security, which works to protect America's critical infrastructure systems. Thank you so much for joining us here. Let me first get your take on how seriously we should take this latest threat from these anonymous hackers.
I always say that we should never underestimate your foe, and you don't have to go poking on a wasp's nest unless you have a little can of wasp spray ready, right? So anything could happen. We think there's a lot of barking, a lot of commotion, and we don't think there's a lot going to happen, but you never who could join the fray. You know, they could bring in some friends with heavy artillery.
It seems like these threats are coming from every which way these days. We were just talking about this one coming from North Africa and the Middle East. The Pentagon just the other day issuing, as we said, strongest accusations so far against China, blaming these cyber intrusions directly on the Chinese government and its military, trying to get American business data, business secrets. I mean, will these threats, will these warnings, this finger pointing from the Pentagon actually get China to back off? How effective is this strategy?
I don't really think it's going to change anything. I mean, I think we certainly have to confront them, but you know, they're making money off this. You know, they're bettering their economy. So yeah, so I don't think really it's going to do much, you know, but I think it's spot on. The report was spot on.
Okay, so tell me more. You have this expertise in understanding what the Chinese hackers have been able to get from hacking into our industrial companies. Some of these oil services industries are actually getting a leg up on winning contracts over American companies. So tell me more about your understanding about the actual information they're getting and how they're using it against us to eat up our economy.
Yes, great. Yeah, so they're coming into the corporate network. You know, people are clicking on things they shouldn't click on. Their computers are acting a little bit slow. What they're actually doing is putting some code on the desktops that allows them to remotely control their computers. From there, from the corporate network, they can then kind of creep down into the process control systems that monitor and control these plants. And from what we can see, they're taking blueprints, operational manuals, emails, competitive information that allows them to learn how to operate and run an efficient operations. Some of this information they're stealing is actually bid contracts, and what we saw was several contracts down in Venezuela, also overseas in China, were lost to Chinese companies. So certainly it's making an impact.
Okay, and anyone in China would be the first to point out how much money American business is already making with its interest in China, but this It's, I know you want to weigh in here. The Chamber of Commerce of American businesses doing business in China, did this survey and found out something like 46% of American businesses there are seeing more incidences of cyber attacking and stealing critical information. So how much of an economic impact, how much money, you addressed this, you touched on this earlier in our conversation, but can you quantify it for me?
I don't really know how to quantify that. I mean, our business focuses on industrial control systems and critical infrastructure. And what's alarming to us is that, sure, they're stealing competitive information, they're getting into the business systems. That's been happening for years now. What's alarming to us is that some of the rootkits and malwares make it into the control systems that are monitoring and controlling our critical infrastructure. So what happens if their motivation changes? Like, let's say they want to snoop in on how our power plants work or how our refineries work. And then let's say we piss them off at some time, and they said, okay, from our keystrokes, we'll just go ahead and make the city of Houston blank, black out. So that's what we're worried about is, they're profiling our control systems and our SCADA systems, cataloging the types of technology we use. That could definitely be used against us if their motivations change in the future.
I really have no time, Jonathan, but if you could quickly characterize how the U.S. is doing in preventing future attacks.
Well, what we're doing is the U.S. is actually putting out a lot of information to critical infrastructure owners. They're pushing out briefings. They're passing legislation. There's requirements and regulations out there right now that all power companies should have firewalls, intrusion detection systems in place to protect themselves. But that's only one industry. It's only power. So I think more is needed for oil and gas and the other industries as well.
All right. We were going to check back with you for more on the story. Jonathan Pollet, thank you so much.
So
Thanks,
turning
Lori.
back to the markets, the S&P 500 right now sitting at a new all-time high, climbing more than 13% so far this year. Have we come too far too fast? My next guest says that while valuations are no longer as compelling as they were a year ago, there are still good deals to be had. Joining me now is Sam Stovall, Chief Equity Strategist for S&P Capital IQ. Sam, thanks for coming on the show. There was an article in Fortune that caught my attention where the author said what optimists and people on business TV ignore is that high prices, the boom has generated a promise of lower, not higher rewards in the future. Are prices too high right now to give us decent returns in the future?
I don't think they're too high right now. I think what's interesting is that history provides us with a guide, certainly not gospel, to say that this could actually be a better year than people are expecting or have even experienced so far. This is the 5th year of this bull market, and since World War II, 83% of those bull markets that celebrated their 4th birthdays went on to celebrate their 5th, and the average price increase was 21%.